Welcome back to CBS This Morning. After a massive CBS News investigation into the military's failure to handle sexual assaults, the Army now admits it must do better. In a video statement released last night, Secretary of the Army Ryan McCarthy also said the Sexual Assault Prevention and Response Program in the Army has not done its job. This morning, women hired to work for the Defense Department's program are speaking out about the problems they witnessed. CBS Evening News anchor and managing editor Norah O'Donnell spoke with them as part of her exclusive investigation.
I was violently raped in my room.
Nearly 24 survivors who spoke with CBS News say the military's sexual assault program put in place to protect them instead failed them.
I was bleeding, I had bruises, the proof was on my body, and yet I didn't think it was going to be enough.
They described problems with reporting their assaults and the backlash they experienced when they did.
I was being harassed so bad by my commanders that ended up having a nervous breakdown.
They just go after you because you're the victim and you're the problem.
I cannot look at another junior soldier sobbing and know that they've been assaulted, and people are like, oh, it'll get better. Just go deploy. That's not okay.
Amy Braley, Frank, Marianne Buston, and Lindsay Knapp were all hired by the Defense Department's Sexual Assault Prevention and Response Program to help fix the problem.
My greatest concern with the program itself is that there are some bad actors and commanders that have found a way to sweep these things under the rug.
Commanders are required to refer reports of sexual assault to criminal investigators. But Amy found evidence commanders were investigating some cases themselves, which violates the military's own code of justice.
I discovered written documentation of illegal investigations and victims languishing, and I continued to ask for help over and over again, and to no avail.
The military says there's zero tolerance when it comes to sexual assault. Is that true?
No. I feel like the commanders are ill-equipped to make these decisions. That's why we're here. We're the subject matter experts. We advise them, but they do not listen. Each day, they allow these things to occur. There's no zero tolerance. There's tolerance.
Of sexual assault and rape?
Absolutely.
We're seeing an increase in reports, a decrease in convictions, and more service members reporting that they're being retaliated against.
In the military's most recent anonymous survey, 64% of women who reported a sexual assault said they experienced retaliation.
People are afraid. When I have young ladies and men say, the rape was bad, but I don't want to go through this other thing because it's worse than the rape.
What's worse than the rape?
The retaliation, the treatment, the judgment.
Amy was suspended a year ago from her position as a victim advocate the day after she contacted a commanding general about retaliation she was seeing in the Army.
I think the breadth and the depth of the problem is so large that they really don't want the general public to understand that they don't have it under control.
Marianne was fired in June after the Air Force commander she complained to about the sexually offensive culture on base took away her credentials.
They didn't want change, and they refused to do it. And they said, you're going to be gone, and they were right.
That's how powerful the system is.
It's powerful. Here's 3 women trying to fight a male-dominated system where men are the ones deciding whether women were assaulted or harassed. It's a difficult fight.
And Lindsay believes reporting her concerns about the Army's elite fighters to a commanding general led to her firing in July.
So it all came to a head when I reported that Delta Force was covering up rape.
What do you believe they were trying to cover up?
I don't think they want people to know that their elite fighting force is capable of doing these kinds of things.
And you believe you were retaliated against for advocating on behalf of this rape victim?
Absolutely.
How can this be fixed?
Don't put us under commanders where if I'm going to tell you you're violating a law and then you can just turn around and fire me. Doesn't make any sense.
We're not even the sexual assault survivor. We are the victim advocate. But then they see us being retaliated against, and they see us being fired for standing up for them.
I think one thing that we've failed to mention here is that the things that we're talking about are crimes. For anyone to overlook that, not handle it appropriately, that's a crime in and of itself.
Not just the people who carried out the assault and the rape. You're talking about the ones that retaliated against and covered it up.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You think it's time for the military to have a Me Too movement?
It's time. I would encourage everybody who's maybe experienced this to report it to your congressional leaders, to the IG, the Office of Special Counsel. Flood them. Flood them. You matter. Your voice needs to be heard, and it needs to be heard now.
The military declined our request for an interview, but last night, the Secretary of the Army, Ryan McCarthy, responded to our investigation.
This topic has captivated the attention of America and our Army leaders, and it is abundantly clear we must do better.
The Army promised a new action plan next month. Norah O'Donnell, CBS News, Washington.
In statements, the Army says it encourages program employees experiencing retaliation to report it. The Air Force told us its advocates are crucial in efforts to combat sexual assault, and their guidance is valued.
All those women, very strong, very credible, and I don't understand how you can report it to someone and the person you're reporting it to is the one that makes a decision about whether it moves forward or not. That just doesn't make any sense.
I agree. Bravo to Norah, bravo to the investigations team for the Army to come out and say it's abundantly clear we need to do better. That's only because these stories exist, so well done.
This has been an incredibly comprehensive investigation by the
over a year.
Yeah, really.
Because in the beginning they weren't saying anything on the record, so to have the Army Secretary to go on the air and say that, very, very powerful. Indeed. Certainly more is coming out of this story. I'm convinced of that.